its secrets. But security broke it up quickly. Investigators suggested Anderson retaliated hours later with help from Southside Crips gang members. It sounded reasonable on paper, but those who knew the streets understood something was wrong.
What up, what up, what up?
Anderson was questioned multiple times, but never charged. He denied involvement repeatedly. 2 years later, he passed away in an unrelated shooting in Compton. With him went any chance of confirmation. Other suspected gang members also met violent ends within years of Tupac's death. Coincidence, authorities said. But those paying attention saw a pattern. People connected to that night kept disappearing, whether through death or deliberate silence. Witnesses became the greatest mystery of all. Over 20 cars were stopped at that intersection when bullets flew. Dozens of people saw something. Yet, when detectives arrived, memories evaporated. Some claimed they were looking the other way during the shooting. Others suddenly could not recall any details about the white Cadillac. A few gave descriptions, but later recanted. One woman told police she saw 4 men in the car, then changed her story to say she saw nothing at all. Fear ruled the streets. In that world, talking to police was a death sentence. The code of silence was not just respected, it was enforced brutally. Families received threats, homes were vandalized. People who cooperated with investigators found themselves targeted next. The message was clear. Forget what you saw or become another casualty. Even those who chose survival instead. Evidence that should have been crucial vanished or was mishandled. The BMW Tupac rode in was towed to an impound lot. Forensic teams never properly examined it for gunpowder residue or bullet trajectory analysis. By the time anyone thought to look deeper, the car had been released and cleaned. Surveillance footage from nearby casinos either did not exist or was never collected. Shell casings from the crime scene disappeared from the evidence room. Reports filed by first responders contained contradictions that were never resolved. Timelines shifted depending on who was telling the story. Some witnesses placed the shooting at 11:15, others said 11:20. The route Tupac's car took after leaving the MGM Grand changed in different police reports. Even the number of discharges fired varied. Official records said 13 rounds were fired, but some witnesses remembered more. The chaos of that night created confusion, but 3 decades should have been enough time to sort truth from panic. What made the silence more haunting was that Tupac himself seemed to know something was coming. In interviews months before his death, he spoke about enemies closing in. His lyrics grew darker, more paranoid. He rapped about betrayal, about people wanting him gone, about not trusting anyone. Friends later recalled him saying he felt targeted, watched, hunted. He changed hotels frequently. He hired extra security. Yet when pressed about specific threats, he stayed vague. Either he did not know exactly who wanted him dead, or he refused to name. Insiders whispered for years about the kid, but could not prove. Some claimed corrupt officers were involved. Others suggested powerful music industry figures had motives to silence Tupac. A few pointed to rival gangs settling old scores. None of these theories gained traction because nobody would speak on record. Grand juries were convened, but produced nothing. Private investigators hired by Tupac's family hit the same walls police did. Every path led to dead ends. Decades passed. The case went cold officially. Detectives retired, files were boxed and stored. The public assumed justice would never come. Then, in early 2025, everything changed. Someone leaked an audio recording online. It was a phone conversation from 1996, recorded just days after the shooting. The voices belonged to two men discussing the attack in detail. They named names, they described the plan, they laughed about how easy it was. Authorities could no longer ignore what they had buried for 30 years. The recording contradicted every official statement ever made. The evidence that changed everything. The leaked recording forced authorities to do what they had avoided for 3 decades. Start over. In 2025, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department quietly assembled a new task force. This time, they brought in forensic experts who specialized in cold cases, people who knew how to find truth buried under years of lies and mistakes. They also had something investigators in 1996 never possessed, advanced technology that could pull details from evidence everyone thought was useless. The first breakthrough came from video enhancement. Original investigators claimed surveillance footage from that night was either missing or too grainy to help. But modern software could now clean up old recordings frame by frame, sharpening images that once looked like shadows and blur. Technicians fed footage from nearby casinos into powerful computers, but emerged was stunning. The white Cadillac had been captured on 3 different cameras as it moved through Las Vegas that night, following a specific route that suggested careful planning rather than random violence. Even more revealing was footage from the MGM Grand. Experts studied the earlier altercation between Tupac's group and Orlando Anderson. They slowed it down, analyzed every angle. What everyone assumed was simple revenge started looking different. In the background of that fight, barely visible, stood a man who did not belong to either group. He watched the confrontation but never intervened. He made a phone call immediately after security broke things up. Then he disappeared into the casino crowd. Nobody had noticed him before, because investigators were focused on the obvious players. Now his presence raised serious questions. Audio analysis provided another shock. The leaked phone conversation was examined by voice recognition specialists. They confirmed the speakers were discussing Tupac's shooting in detail, but something else caught their attention. Background noise in the recording included police radio chatter. That meant the conversation happened near law enforcement activity, possibly even inside a police facility. The implications were disturbing. How did people connected to the shooting have access to areas where police worked? Were they being protected? Was information being shared with them? Forensic ballistics experts revisited evidence from the crime scene. Using modern techniques, they recreated the shooting digitally. They calculated bullet trajectories based on where Tupac was hit and where damage appeared inside the BMW. The results contradicted the original theory. If the discharges came from the White's Cadillac, positioned where witnesses claimed, the angles were wrong. At least 3 bullets struck from a different direction entirely. Either there was a second shooter nobody reported, or the entire understanding of how the attack unfolded was incorrect. Crime scene photographs were analyzed with fresh eyes. Investigators in 1996 had focused on the obvious evidence like shell casings and blood patterns. The new team looked at everything else. They noticed tire marks suggesting another vehicle had been at the intersection moments before the shooting. They found cigarette butts collected but never tested for DNA. They discovered a receipt from a nearby gas station timestamped just minutes before the attack, listing a purchase that connected to one of the rumored suspects, but was never followed up. The biggest revelation came from studying police reports filed that night. Multiple officers documented witness statements that never made it into the official case file.
these guys sunburned today, especially my right knee. What's up, one viewer? My arm got a little red. Alright, no one's talking to me. I'm gonna just get going. I'll talk to y'all later.